All right, eBay unboxing. And this I was watching for 7 days. I hate auctions, by the way. I love it when sellers have buy it nows or make offers, okay? And so at the last second, I sniped this and somebody else sniped it at the last second. But it only ended up being $36, thank God. But sellers do not take good pictures anymore. I can't understand that. In the picture, I couldn't tell if this was scratched up and damaged. And I took a chance on it. They don't really take good pictures now with the cell phones that we have fantastic cell phones that take fantastic photos, but I don't understand why sellers, how hard could it be to take a picture where something is clear in good lighting? All right, well, we'll just hope and pray that this is not in shabby condition. And let's get it out. Okay, they packed it very nicely. It says thank you. That, you see, that's something I like sellers to do. When they do something nice like that, they give you a good presentation, pretty packaging. It gives you a good feel. And so if you're a seller on eBay, that always makes your buyer feel like what they got is valued more. Seriously. All right, so let's open. Oh, wow. Okay, this is much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And if you watch my channel, if you're a subscriber, you'll see I buy a lot of these. Why? I don't wear them. I'm not going to be wearing them, but I just like to collect them because it's fun to collect when there's so much vast majority. And yeah, how else can I put this? There's a vast majority of these on the, collector's thing. I'm having a brain fart. Okay, let me just lower this. There we go. Yeah, there's on the collecting market. There's a vast majority of these, and to find them for cheap is very hard. Okay, so on the back is a brooch. Could you tell? Okay, on the back it says Ada Rehan. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you in a second. All right, so you can tell the age of your brooch by the hinge. So here we have a tube hinge. Don't know if you can see that. If it was a round hinge, it would probably be late 19th century all the way up until today. And so we got the tube hinge over here. This is dating it probably from the end of the 19th century and before. Okay. Now, the next way to to tell the age of your brooch is by the closure. If you see a C catch, this is from the Victorian era and before. Okay, so from the late Victorian era, early 20th century, probably 1900 and before. And it's another way to tell is if your pin sticks out way further than the actual brooch, the further out that it comes, the older it is. Okay, because they had thicker clothes, and the thicker clothes was for the earlier eras. And so towards the end of the 19th century, the fabrics got thinner. And so they didn't need brooches that were as thick or as long. So this is telling me this is the end of the 19th century. It does not jut out past the pin. Okay, but who's Ada Rehan? All right, so we're going to flip it over. Now, this does not stay. The seller did not say that this brooch is... Wait, can we get a focus? Oh, my God. Okay, the seller did not say that this is like falling out and stuff. But when I go like this, the pin falls out. All right, this was another thing. Before safety catches were invented. Now, safety catches were invented first in Europe. And what is a safety catch? A safety catch is right on the catch, there would be a tab, and you pull it forward or pull it back. So you would pull it back when you want to undo your pin, and you pull it forward to lock your pin into place. Now, they did not have that in the Victorian time, and the safety catch was invented in Europe somewhere around the 1890s, but not in the USA until about 1900 and on. And so, yeah, a lot of women would get poked and bloodied fingers from this, being loose like this. All right, so we're going to flip it over. We're going to check out. So this is Ada Rehan. Wow, this is heavy. This is a big porcelain disc. And so this is a type of collectible that not only is for jewelry collectors, this is also for people that collect portrait miniatures. And what is a portrait miniature? A portrait miniature is a little portrait, fits in the palm of your hand, that was generally painted on all sorts of mediums. It could be gouache, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, on paper, watercolor on paper, oil painting, or watercolor on Little ivory wafers. Vellum was another one, a vellum type of paper, which is like, I think, goat's gut paper. Or it would be painted on mother of pearl, like the Russian ones are generally painted on mother of pearl, and all sorts of different mediums. Okay, so we have porcelain. Now, this is another thing that only is it in the jewelry collecting squadron. It's also for people that collect portrait miniatures and also German or French porcelain. And so this is most likely a German porcelain disc. Let's flip it over. And sometimes it'll even say Germany on it. It'll have little markings or numbers. Generally, numbers will denote the size of the item. And this is most likely a German porcelain disc. This does not look very French to me. Sometimes these are called pinchbeck. Pinchbeck, by the way, this is so loose, it keeps stabbing me. I don't want to get Victorian AIDS. I'm trying to get this to stay. I could get my pliers and bend this a little. And yeah, it will not focus. I could get my pliers and probably bend this so it doesn't keep falling out. But as you can tell, this is what women went through. They would lose these brooches. Now, if you're a metal detectorist, which I once was, until my husband got rid of all my metal detectors, without telling me, by the way, you would find a lot of brooches under the ground because of the fact that they didn't have the safety catches during the Victorian era and before. So if you're a metal detectorist, you'll know what I mean by this. You'll find a lot of these. So Ada Rehan. And this, it does have scratches, surface scratches, very, very common for these old brooches. And a lot of these brooches that you see ladies' portraits painted on porcelain or whatever medium could also be celluloid, all sorts of different fabrics and not fabrics, but, you know, mediums, okay? Generally, you'll see them scratched. It was because these were worn. But these are actually really fun to collect. And the most part, a lot of these portrait miniatures are of female actresses or male actresses of the day, or they're replicas of original paintings that were painted by really well-known artists of the time. And so this here, we have, this is another collecting genre. If you're collecting, if you collect old theater or old actresses. I was going to say Hollywood actresses. They didn't have Hollywood back then. But so this is another thing. If you collect old actresses or vaudeville or something to do with theater, this is another actual push out into that collecting field. So this is a multiple genre collectible. So not just one person's going to want it. Lots of different people collecting for different reasons are going to want it. Who the heck is Ada Rehan? All right, so we're going to find out who Ada Rehan was. And let's go ahead and go and segue over to that. I got to show you how large this brooch is. And the larger the brooch, generally, the more closer to the 1860s to 1880s they are. After that, they got smaller. They got more diminutive. Ladies in that time frame, 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, liked larger things. This would have went right on the nape of the neck, in the front of the dress, where the neckline was, right where your throat would be. And this would actually go right there. So the larger ones were telling me, are telling me that this is 1880s and earlier. Now, this actress lived until the early 20th century. So trying to date this is very hard, but I'm going to go with this is a 1880 something brooch. And by the way, again, look at the size of this brooch in my hand. All right, so Ada Rehan, and there's loads and loads and loads of photos of Ada Rehan on the internet. Now, a lot of people thought she was a beauty. Okay, for her day, a lot of women wanted to emanate her. They wanted to look like her. They wanted to wear clothing and fashion like her. And they wanted to sound like her. They wanted to even have the vocalizations and style of speaking like her. And so it's not a shock to find a brooch with her likeness on it. And so Ada Rehan was an American actress and comedian who typified the personality style of acting in the 19th century. And she was born, she lied about her age, by the way. And what I love about her, she's an Irish lassie, but she moved to Brooklyn, New York. Now, I used to grow up on the Queens Brooklyn border in New York City, so it's nice to have a New York City resident on my brooch. And so she lied about her age when she moved to the United States. Let's go ahead and check that out. And oh, come on, Wikipedia, go buzz off. How do you get this out of here? Skip. Yes, Skip, I'm not paying you, okay, for your information. Ada Rehan was born Bedelia. Her real name was Bedelia. What a name. Bedelia Crehan. And apparently they effed up. What I read, they effed up on some kind of advertisement for her in the theater, and they spelled her last name wrong. And that's how she started spelling it, Rehan. And so she was born in Ireland, in Limerick City. And then she emigrated over to U.S. And by the way, when she got her passport, she shaved a few years off her age and gave 1860 as her year of birth, which was bullshit. And it's sort of funny, okay? So she actually settled in Brooklyn, New York. And her year of birth was later disputed by a critic who wrote in the Boston Globe on November 24th, 1988. 1888. Oh my God, 1988. That was a good year, by the way. And when she should have been 31 years old or 28 by her own reckoning. And so the critic wrote, Ada Rehan is 40 years old and over. She makes up fairly for girlish roles, but at close sight, in the cold light of day, she shows her age. Oh, that's imagine someone wrote that about you, especially back then. That's like a real diss. Okay, so her and her siblings found work in the theater. Her sisters, Harriet and Kate, preceded her onto the stage. Kate married a fellow actor, Oliver Dowd Byron. And okay, so she set up some kind of deal with some famous theater owner. And this theater owner was by the name of, I have to find it, by the way, where is it? Okay, Dally. Okay, so Rehan was performing in one of Dally's plays. And he set up some like theater, and then he started making chain theaters, I think in England and in several parts of the US, okay? So she actually was performing in one of Dally's plays, Piquet, produced by New York's Grand Opera House and starring Fanny Davenport, another actress who I have a brooch of, when the successful theater manager, Augustin Dally, first took note of her in April of 1879. So we know she was acting from the 1870s. Later that year, when he opened his third New York theater, Dally's Fifth Avenue Theater, Rehan joined his company. She would continue to work with Dally until his death 20 years later. Now, there's some kind of like gossip that was going on that she was having an affair with him. Yes, he was a married man. And so she did stuff like that. There she is. There's many photos of her in her roles. And she would wear these really amazing costumes. And even famous artists such as John Singer Sargent made a painting of her. And I'm trying to blow it up. And he made her look regal. But if you notice, she does not look like a young lassie. She does not look like a young lady. She looks older. And when you look at her yet, it didn't matter. Everyone wanted to personify her, look like her, dress like her, speak like her, and act like her. Look at the beautiful dress that John Singer Sargent painted as her, for her wearing with ermine. It looks like an ermine, some kind of ermine cape. And I don't know what she's holding in her hand. It looks like, I don't know, some big feather or something like that. Let's go ahead and go take a look at some photos of her. And we're going to go back. We're going to hit the back button. We're going to go down. I'm doing this on my phone. It's very hard to show you. We'll go to images. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of famous photographers of the time actually photographed her. You can see many, many different costumes that she wore in her theater roles. And she was well loved. And really, look how fancy some of these pictures are. She even played Marie Antoinette. She played comedy, though. Comedy versions. It wasn't serious. It was very comedic. And here she is in another role. She did Shakespeare. She did all sorts of different roles. Here, she was Maid Marian, I believe, from Robin Hood. There's a lot of people even like to colorize the black and white photographs that were taken for by Sardani. I believe Sardani was one of the famous photographers. If you find a photo, you can actually collect these photographs. You can find them on eBay. You can find them all over the place with her actual photos, and you can add them to your collection. And all right, so like we'll continue to look at some of the other photos of her. And as you can see, I don't think she was really a beauty. She really was not. Now, who am I to talk, right? I look like the type of lady that would be picking cans from the side of the road. But I don't think she was a major beauty, if you know what I mean. I don't think she really was a major beauty. She was pretty and stuff, but not movie actress pretty. But back then, hey, anyone who wore fancy costumes and fancy makeup could pretty themselves up very easily. Now, lots of different companies used her image, such as cigarette companies. They made cigarette cards where you can collect different actresses, and to entice people to buy the cigarettes, you would buy the pack of cigarettes and get different actresses in a card pack inside the pack of cigarettes. She was on many, many different advertisements. Here's her as a clown. And again, she really was not that pretty. She was glamorous when she wore her costumes, but I wouldn't say she was like a amazing beauty, if you know what I mean. She was attractive in her earlier photos, but as she got older, like all of us, she put on some weight, and she wasn't as glamorous or pretty. And that's my opinion. But who the hell am I to judge people's looks, right? Because I'm no beauty myself. Here we go. Here's her in a really fancy costume with a great big hat with a plume of feathers on it. And there we go. When did she die? We'll find out in a moment. But here she is when she was younger and prettier. As she got older, her face got dumpier. Look at me over here. I'm giving a critique of her after she's dead. What a jerk I am. Again, cool costumes. And you can find these photographs. Here is a cabinet card photograph that you can find, say, on eBay. Many photographers or famous photographers of the day who had photograph studios would beg her. I mean, absolutely beg her to go over there and get her photo taken. Why? Because they can make money selling her photos. And there she is. All right, so when did she die? By the way, look, I can just keep going and going and going, and there's hundreds and hundreds of photographs of her likeness. All right, so we're going to go back. If I can go back on my phone, and we're going to find out, when did she die? She died... I'm blind, by the way. I can't even see. Okay, here we go. She died on January 8th of 1916 in New York, New York. She's buried, I believe, in Brooklyn, New York. Really interesting, because I was thinking of maybe one day, if I ever get a car, taking a ride down and checking out all the old famous celebrities' tombstones in these old Victorian cemeteries in Brooklyn, New York. And all right, let's go back to the pin. Now, these are really great to collect. They're a lot of fun. They're pinchback usually. Pinchback meaning that it's a gold-like metal, but it is not real gold. Some of these are actually real gold. I could test this. This looks pretty darn good. I'm going to guess that this is 9-karat gold. A lot of these are unmarked 9-karat gold, 10-karat gold, low quality gold, or it could be gold plated. But these were generally costume jewelry, especially since it was on porcelain. It wasn't like lavish jewels. And you can collect many different actresses on these brooches. You can find them on eBay. They're not easy to find. When they do put them up, they usually sell very quickly. But I did find another Ada Rehan brooch. I shit you not, the next day. Somebody listed one with a buy it now, but it did not say Ada Rehan on the back. I knew right away it was Ada Rehan. It was the same exact brooch as this, except for the background was in black with the same picture. And they had a buy it now for $35. I purchased it. So now I have 2 Ada Rehans, and that one should be arriving soon. We'll do an unboxing. But these are a lot of fun to collect. A lot of people just think it's like a painting. They'll see these brooches with these really well-costumed ladies and just think it's a miniature portrait of a real regular lady who once lived. Or they'll just say it's a porcelain portrait of a lady. but a lot of people do not know that these are actually actresses that were in the theater at the time of the making of the pin, and just think it's just some generic lady, or it's just a portrait of a fantasy lady. But nope, she lived, and she was a Brooklynite and a New Yorker, and very interesting. So I hope you learned something. This is a lot of fun to collect. You will not find very many of these for under $100. Generally, these sell in the, let's check out what they sell for. You type in Ada Rehan brooch and you don't see any. You don't see any. Oh, there we go, Worth Point. But Worth Point never gives you prices unless you pay. And I'm definitely not paying. So you don't see too many Ada Rehan brooches. Look, the end of the results. Now, the reason why you won't find a lot of Ada Rehan brooches is because the fact that most of them do not have the name written on the back. So people have no clue whatsoever that it's Ada Rehan, and they just think it's some lady. And you won't find very many that, you know, are actually listed as Ada Rehan brooches. These portrait brooches sell in many, many, many different price ranges. You might find one for $236, $263.96, or you might find one for $59.69, or $251. Or if it's real gold with diamonds, $1,536.50. You can find them for $195. They're all different kinds of price ranges. $265.50, $1,150, not even real gold. And they're all over the internet. You have to look. You have to look really hard. Here's such one that's selling for $175.50. These ones are sort of garbagey. These ones over here, this is not even antique. This is from the 50s. It is a Lamages transferware. You got to be careful. A lot of these weren't even hand painted. This is a transferware Lamages. Here's another transferware Lamages. These were not hand painted at all. Mine was hand painted. How do you tell? Okay, let's look close. If you look up really close, you'll see thousands of dots. If you see thousands of dots, it is not hand painted. It was transferware and painted over the transferware sometimes, or just left as a decal. All right, so here we go, $715. This one is not even a real painted one. This is a print, $32. You got to be very careful when you collect these. If you really don't know much about them, you're going to end up with what I call a really bad one, a $20 transferware one. Here we go, $299 for a hand-painted one. This one is transferware, $65. $55 for another transferware, non-hand-painted. Here's a really nice hand-painted one, $99. Another one for $120 that's hand-painted. So the prices are all over the place. $350, $213. And so you really got to look hard. $648.83 for a 9-carat gold one, which I suspect mine is 9-carat or 10-carat. So here's another one. This one, transferware. I can just tell by looking at it that it is transferware. $80. Another transferware. It's not telling us the price. This one, $65. That's actually a good price. And you'll see many, many, many different ones that you could choose from on the internet at different price ranges. So without even testing mine for gold content, I wouldn't sell mine for less than $300 to $450. If I had my Etsy shop, it would sit around for quite a while, but it would eventually sell. Now, if you're looking to flip something like this quick, $100, and it should get it out the door quick. But I don't suggest you ever price your antiques that are valued much more at such a low price just to get rid of it, unless you're really, really hard up for cash. I know a lot of resellers don't care. They get things in volume and then they just, like let it go out the door for way too cheap. But I would say if you have one of these in this size, I wouldn't let it go for less than what I said. All right, thanks for watching. See you guys all soon, and so long. This is just really, ow. The pin is stuck in my finger. Ow, you son of a bitch. And yeah, I was really, really very fortunate to get 2 of these in a row. This one at $36. And the other one, what the heck is stuck on my finger? I was painting before this. $36 and the other one for $35 in a size this large.